You ever see one of those giant ships out in a harbor? I mean, these massive things made of thousands and thousands of tons of steel just floating there? It just doesn't seem right, does it? Well, today we're going to dive in and figure out the simple physics behind this amazing feat of engineering. I mean, this is the thing that gets you, right? It's the core paradox. We all know that heavy stuff sinks. You toss a rock, a little pebble, into a lake, and boom, straight to the bottom. So how in the world does a ship that weighs as much as a skyscraper just bob around on the surface?
And, this is something we see all the time. Our gut feeling, our intuition, tells us that if you drop your keys in the water, they're gone, sunk. But then you look up and you see these colossal steel structures, big enough to carry a small town or mountains of cargo, doing the complete opposite.
So what's the deal? Well, the good news is, it's not magic. Not at all. The answer is actually a really elegant and surprisingly simple rule of physics, one that we figured out long before we were building ships on this kind of scale.
And to get to the bottom of this, we've actually got to go way back in time, over 2,000 years ago, to a story that, believe it or not, starts in a bathtub.
So our story starts with this absolutely brilliant Greek mathematician and inventor, a guy named Archimedes. His king gave him a really tricky challenge, one that was going to take some serious creative thinking to solve.
See, the king had a suspicion. He thought he'd been ripped off. He suspected that the goldsmith who made his new crown had secretly mixed in some cheaper silver, but how could he prove it without destroying the crown by melting it down? Archimedes was totally stumped for a while.
And the big aha moment, as the legend goes, happened while he was just getting into his bath. As he got in, he noticed the water level rising and spilling out. And right then, it clicked. He realized this simple but incredibly powerful fact. When you put something in water, it has to push some of that water out of the way. It displaces it.
And that one simple idea led to this incredible scientific law that we now call Archimedes Principle. Here's what it says. The water actually pushes back. It pushes up on any object you put in it. And this is the crucial part. The strength of that upward push is exactly equal to the weight of the water the object pushed aside. That right there, that's the whole secret. So whenever an object like a ship is in the water, you can picture it like this. There are two huge forces locked in this constant battle, a sort of cosmic tug of war. On one team, you've got gravity. It's always there, pulling the entire weight of the ship straight down. It wants to sink it. But on the other team, you have this upward force we just talked about, buoyancy. That's the water pushing up, trying to make the ship float. And whether that ship sinks or floats comes down to one thing: which force wins? For a ship to float, it's pretty simple. That battle has to end in at least a tie. The upward push from buoyancy has to be strong enough to perfectly cancel out the downward pull of gravity. It's all about finding that perfect balance. And this is where things get really clever. This is where human ingenuity comes into play. We can't change gravity, right? But we can design an object to get the biggest possible upward push from the water. The secret isn't what it's made of. It's all about the shape. Okay, think about it like this. You take a solid block of steel, the same stuff a ship is made of, and you drop it in the ocean. It just plummets, right? That's because it's so small and dense, it doesn't push much water out of the way. So the buoyant force it gets is tiny, and gravity just completely overpowers it. End of story.
But a ship is totally different. It is not a solid block. It's this brilliant hollow shell. By shaping all that steel into a huge, wide hull, what you're really making is a giant container that's mostly just air. This shape lets the ship push aside an enormous amount of water, and that displaced water is heavy. Its weight creates a massive upward buoyant force, a force that's strong enough to fight gravity to a standstill. The forces balance out, and just like that, the ship floats. It really boils down to this one simple rule. A 200,000-ton ship floats because its hull is perfectly designed to push aside exactly 200,000 tons of water. The second the weight of the ship equals the weight of the water it's displacing, you've got it. You've achieved balance.
And what's just mind-blowing is that this one fundamental rule, it doesn't just explain floating. It also governs how we keep ships stable and upright, and it's basically guided how we built boats for all of human history.
I mean, floating is great, but you really don't want your massive ship to just tip over, right? So engineers are smart about this. They put all the heaviest stuff, like the engines, way down low in the hull. This gives the ship a super low center of gravity. It acts like a weight on the bottom of a punching bag. So combined with that wide hull, it helps the ship automatically right itself, even in rough seas. And this principle, it's timeless.
I mean, our earliest ancestors figured out that a fatter log or a bigger bundle of reeds floated better than a skinny one. That idea eventually evolved into crafting these wide wooden hulls for sailing ships. And today, we're using supercomputers to design the hulls of aircraft carriers, but we're still just using Archimedes' principle, just on a much, much bigger scale.
And that's the coolest part. Physics just doesn't care how big or small something is. The exact same fundamental rule that lets a little canoe float is the very same one holding up a cruise ship, the size of a city. It's just a perfect example of how one simple, consistent law of nature can make incredible things possible.
So the next time you see a ship, any boat at all, remember that quiet battle of forces happening just beneath the water, all figured out by a guy in a bathtub more than 2,000 years ago. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other simple rules like that are hiding in plain sight, just quietly running our entire complex world?